This video is sponsored by Wildlife Command Center Coffee. More about them at the end of the video. Hey everybody, it's me, John Ward, and this video is going to be a look at the Howling series. I am a fan of the Howling franchise, and I own all the movies. I've read one book, and I thought it would be kind of fun to take a look at the films, and then at the end, I'm going to rank them. And for those of you who are fans of this series or franchise, whatever you would like to call it, might be surprised by a couple of my picks, because there's one film I love and one film I really do not like. So let's start with the first film. We got The Howling, of course, the original Howling, and this is actually a double feature 2 DVD set with The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. But for right now, we're only going to be talking about just The Howling. And as many of you know, this is directed by Joe Dante. It stars Dee Wallace. It's got Patrick McGee, Dennis Duggan, Christopher Stone. It's got a ton of people: Kevin McCarthy, John Carradine, Slim Pickens. And of course, the effects are by Rob Bottin. This is probably my second favorite werewolf film, my first being An American Werewolf in London. But I think that this is I mean, it's like, you know, which one? So I really think probably American Werewolf is my favorite. I believe I saw that first in the theaters. And then I saw The Howling probably on like like a Showtime or HBO, one of those that we had out at the time. And what's cool about this is, like I said, it is a double disc DVD, and the Howling special features are Unmasking the Beast, the making of the Howling multi-part documentary, deleted scenes, outtakes, making a monster movie inside the Howling documentary, audio commentary with director Joe Dante, Dee Wallace, Christopher Stone, and Robert Picardo. I couldn't believe I forgot to mention Robert Picardo, who has been in, I believe, every Joe Dante film. You also get a photo gallery and the original theatrical trailers. This also has a really good soundtrack to it. It's one that I definitely own. I mean, I've tried to collect all the Howling soundtracks. It was made in 1981. It's color, 91 minutes, so a good time. Widescreen, and it's rated R. So this is definitely a classic. I really hope they never remake it. I mean, they tried doing the sequel to An American Werewolf in London, which was An American Werewolf in Paris, which was horrible. And they cut out all references to An American Werewolf in London. And the werewolf stuff is all early CGI, so it looked horrible. Not a good idea. It was a bad movie. So on this, we have The Howling. Let's see, from the director of Gremlins and Piranha comes the ultimate masterpiece in primal terror, filled with edge of your seat suspense, genuine thrills, and amazing special effects from Us Magazine. This riveting werewolf tale sinks its teeth into your deepest fears and never lets go. Severely traumatized by a near-fatal encounter with a serial killer, TV newscaster Karen White, Dee Wallace, takes time off at a secluded retreat called The Colony. But after nights of being tormented by bestial, blood-curdling cries, Karen ventures into the woods seeking answers. She makes a terrifying discovery. Now she must fight not only for her life, but for her soul. So, I mean, obviously anybody who's seen The Howling knows there's a lot more to it than this. We got the great, Robert Picardo playing Eddie, one of the greatest one of the greatest werewolves out there. He's got the famous werewolf transformation scene of his face extending out, where Rob Bottin used more bladder bags, and then Rick Baker for An American Werewolf in London used more of the just kind of extending, like a prosthetic effect, just extending things out. So Rob Bottin's werewolves in these, they look a little more wet. They look a little more kind of like sweaty, while the ones that are in American Werewolf in London are a little more dry, and like you could really see bones and stuff in them. This is definitely, like I said, one of my favorite werewolf films, probably my second favorite. Others being stuff like Wolf. There's just so many of them out there that are so good. And then, one second. Then, of course, the film that comes after it is Howling II, Your Sister is a Werewolf. And as you could see, they tried to mimic the poster from The Howling, which is fine. It's still okay. I actually like the actual movie poster better, but it matches, I guess, closer to what the DVD cover here is. And this one is Felipe Mora is the director. And I got to say that there's 3 books, Howling I, Howling II, Howling III Echoes. Howling, the book, came out in 1977. Howling II came out in 1979. And Howling III Echoes came out in 1985. They were all written by the same author, Gary Brandner. And I've read the first one, and which the Howling kind of follows the book. And then Howling 2 picks up right after, more or less right after where the first book ends. I've always been kind of disappointed that they just didn't make the books into the movies. If they're going to do it today, which we keep hearing rumors about them remaking The Howling, they should just do it as a trilogy and just make all 3 books. Try to stick as close to the books as possible, get a good director on there, get some good, prosthetic effects, some good visual effects. And I think that you'd have a solid trilogy and then still have the original films. So Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, obviously was a disappointment to, a lot of people, and it became a cult classic. This also stars, of course, Christopher Lee, who is also in Felipe Mora's The Return of Captain Invincible. He plays Mr. Midnight, and along with Alan Arkin, and it's a musical that's shot down in Australia. It took me a couple times, but now I love the film. It has a very kind of Rocky Horror feel to it, and it's definitely worth seeking out. I don't know where it's available, but it's a superhero spoof musical, and the songs in it are actually pretty good. So I would recommend checking it out. This also stars Reb Brown, who was the TV version of Captain America, who rode the motorcycle with the motorcycle helmet that had the symbol, the shield symbol on it, from his shield, not shield itself. And of course, Sybil Danning. So with the classic scene, at the end of her taking her shirt off and exposing her breast every single time for like 30 times while the credits were going by. Now it says here that the screenplay is written by Robert Sarno and Gary Brandner. There is the word "and," so I don't know, I guess, if Gary Brandner actually had anything really to do with this except for getting a credit. But I would only imagine what he would say about it. I'm not going to give you my review on this because I'll save it for when I rank the films. But here's the story. So after countless millennia of watching, waiting, and stalking, the unholy creatures known as werewolves are posed to inherit the earth. Legendary horror icon Christopher Lee faces off against the lusty cult favorite Sybil Danning in this electrifying descent into a world of nightmares that turns out to be all too real. The nice thing is, at least this is a sequel. It is an actual sequel to The Howling. That's a good thing, kind of. So after newscaster Karen White's, from the first film, that was Dee Wallace, shocking on-screen transformation and violent death in the original Howling, her brother, Ben, Reb Brown, which we never heard about in the first movie, is approached by Stefan Crossicro, played by Christopher Lee, a mysterious man who claims that Karen has, in fact, become a werewolf. But this is the least of their worries. To save mankind, Stefan and Ben must travel to Transylvania to battle and destroy Stirba, who's played by Sybil Danning, the immortal queen of all werewolves, before she is restored to her full powers. Of course, this has nothing to do with the book, but it's got Christopher Lee. So what are you going to do? You know, it's got that. So here's the cover, and then here's the back, and take a look at the spine. And the inside is, nothing too interesting. So it looks like for the Howling, the one side is full screen, the other side is, this side is widescreen, the other side is full screen. And then there's Howling 2, which is widescreen and full screen. So you got that on there. Then take another drink here. Hard to see, but this is my Clown Motel mug that I got up at the Clown Motel up in Tonopah when I was filming the movie Clown Motel Massacre, which sadly has not come out yet. But this is the one souvenir that I got there. I bought a coffee mug. So hard to see because it's only on the one side. The next one is, of course, Howling III, the Marsupials. And did they give any ad lines on? No, they don't give anything on there. On this one, it just says, just when you thought it was safe to go down under. Down under meaning Australia. There's the front cover. Not a bad cover, still kind of follows what these are doing here with the ripping of cloth or whatever it might be. And this one is also directed by Felipe Mora. Technically, Howling 2 and 3 are based off the novels. This I got because of a couple reasons, because I do have it in a pack. The special features on this are newly remastered transfer, which is the 16:9, supervised by the director, so that's a good thing. Commentary track featuring the director, that's a good thing. Still photo gallery, okay. Newly remixed 5.1 soundtrack, good thing. And TV spot and promotional trailer, okay. It's 1987, PG-13. Color, it's 98 minutes, and it's got the aspect ratio of 1.85. And these were, it already said that Howling is R. Howling 2 is obviously very R with the amount of nudity that's in it. But this one is PG-13. And there is absolutely nobody in this that I recognize. Now, Felipe Mora, he does write the says screenplay and storyline. It's kind of interesting, instead of just screenplay and story, or just screenplay, or just story. And this one is from Elite Entertainment, while the first one was brought out by MGM DVD. Also looks like it's affiliated with 20th Century Fox, but I think this is primarily an MGM DVD release. The story on this one is the race is on as a colony of marsupial werewolves attempts to outwit and outlast their human counterparts. In this offbeat horror film, Howling III, The Marsupials. This is my problem with this movie. Offbeat horror. This is more or less a comedy, and I really don't like that. I don't think it's the worst out of the series, but I mean, it's decently made. I just don't like the idea that there's a lot of comedy in it. I guess they were just told to go black comedy, and just a lot of it doesn't work. A couple things do, but there's these two nuns that are throughout the whole film that are actually werewolves or marsupials, and they go around killing people. And I guess because they're nuns, it's meant to be kind of funny. So let's see. Long ago, the now extinct marsupial wolf, aka a Tasmanian tiger, roamed the Australian outback. Today, a werewolf colony that has descended from these marsupials has taken over the land. This race of human-like creatures roams the outback, feeding its need. The race for survival is on as these humans struggle to continue to contain these out of control creatures. This, here it comes, this tongue in pouch horror comedy stars, and then it's, yeah, I don't know any of these people. Even with bigger font, I do not recognize them. I just don't like that this is a comedy. Here's the back. And then inside, I like the index card. I think the inside looks good. And I like at least that they give you the Howling font. I like the bloody font. I've always liked that font for these films. How close does this? Yeah, I think I actually like the Howling 3 font better than the other fonts. I mean, you tell me down in the comments which ones you like better, but I didn't like the Howling 3, like the really bloody one, better. So that's 1 through 3. Technically, these are based off the 3 books, and so it is a, you know, really is a trilogy. But except for the first one, they have nothing to do with the books, and even the first one doesn't get the book fully. The idea is there, you know, the concept and everything is there, the story is there, but not the actual, you know, not the whole thing. So then, these like that. There we go, because I will need to see them for later. Now the next one is, I picked this up because it's a box set. It's got 3 of the films in it, and it's a metal box. So it's this Howling trilogy, and it does have Howling 3, the marsupials, right here, but it also has Howling 4, the Rebirth. I'm sorry, Howling 5, the Rebirth, and the Freaks. So they go 3, 5, and 6. I don't know why they couldn't get part 4. Maybe they didn't have the rights to it, and they only had the rights for these 3 to do this box set. It does say it's a 2 DVD, so we'll look inside. The fear is breeding, ... fast. And here's the side of it. Other side's the same thing. And we got the back. And it says special DVD features, full screen presentation. Oh, yay. So that's one reason why I'm glad I got Howling 3 on that DVD, because it's widescreen. Interactive menus, still don't think those are special features. Scene selection and trailer. This is brought out through Timeless Media Group. When did this come out? looks like 2009 is when this box set came out. So it's saying here, it's not giving me any like actual dates. It does say Howling V is 89. But I'm not seeing, maybe the DVDs will say different. It says total running time of 295 minutes. So let's see. Okay, so let's see if the Marsupials description here is any different from what the DVD over there says. So the Marsupials, a strange race of human-like marsupials that have appeared suddenly in Australia are being studied by a sociologist played by Barry Otto, who soon falls in love with Jerboa. I think that is Jerboa, a beautiful redhead. The aptly named Jerboa has a secret, a cute, curious little pouch that, following a night of passion, gains the tiniest of new inhabitants. She gets pregnant, if you couldn't figure it out. This is a is this a dangerous combination? Question mark. While both ominously spooky and outrageously campy, it is sure to entertain. So on a movie set, guy falls for the hot actress and they have sex, and then inside her, she's a marsupial, and inside her, she has like a pouch, like a kangaroo. And there's like the baby marsupial inside there. So the idea itself isn't horrible. I just don't like that it's a comedy. I wish it wasn't. It just should have been a straight horror movie. And what's funny is on the back of this box, this picture here is actually from the missing movie. This is the DVD, actually the VHS cover for Howling IV, the original Nightmare. So this isn't even in any of these movies on here. And they only show, which kind of sucks, is I think these are pictures only from Howling III. So they couldn't even find a picture from each movie, because that's her baby from the pouch. That's the guy that falls in love with her on the film set. And I think that's her turning into a werewolf or a marsupial. Okay, so to continue, the Rebirth. So this is Howling V, the Rebirth. When a group of strangers converge on an ominous, thank you, Romanian castle, they begin to suspect one of them may be an ancestor of a legendary werewolf bloodline. As the evening progresses, the bodies start turning up. Their suspicions may be turned. So that's part 5, the Rebirth. Then Howling VI, the Freaks. When a drifter, and each one of these past part 3, like 4 on, they vary in budget, but the budgets do seem to get better. So 4 is okay, 5 gets a little bigger, 6 gets a little bigger, and then, well, there's 7, but each one seems to get a little bit better with its budget, or at least using its budget. So Howling VI, the Freaks. When a drifter named Ian comes into the ritual town of Canton Bluff, he finds work fixing up the local church. But when the owner of a traveling traveling carnival finds out Ian's terrible secret, he blackmails him into becoming part of his sideshow. But it turns out the carnival owner may have a secret of his own. So the secret that Ian has is he's a werewolf. The secret that the carnival owner has is he's a vampire. So we've now crossed, now we're introducing vampires into the series. So now we got both, where they did not have those before. Let's take a look at what's inside. So this is Howling 3 is the cover of the tin box. And nothing really different on it. 99 minutes. Figured it would have given a saying 2001, but that's not. That's not right. But yeah, it does say DVD features, full screen presentation, interactive menus, scene selection, trailer. So let's see, what does the second DVD have? So now this is a double feature DVD of the Howling V and VI. As you can see, it says The Beast Returns. And yeah, it's weird. That almost looks like something out of the Full Moon series Killjoy, but I think that's in the movie. I know that is. That's actually the poster from the original poster from Howling V. Bad cover. This is not a good cover. Bad cover. There's the side of it. And apparently this has no special features. So it does say Howling V is 1989. I think like Howling III is like 83. No, I'm sorry, is like 80, 86, somewhere in there. And then a few years later, they made Howling V, which was 89. And these did really well on VHS. So probably Howling VI is like 90, 91. Unless I could just quickly find it here. Nope, it doesn't say it. And there's like nothing on, no special features or anything on these guys. 3 hours and 16 minutes. Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's more or less the front, but I do like that they put the wolf from part 5 up here, and then they got the werewolf from part 6 down there. So that's okay looking. It's all right. So that's this 10 box. It's not very exciting, but as far as specials, features go. Then Howling IV, the original Nightmare. So that's this one. And the tagline on this is "Fear is breeding, ... fast." The reason why this is called the original Nightmare is because this is based closer to the first book. So I don't know if their intention was to go back and kind of start over again and maybe do the first 3 books, but this is closer. Once again, it's not perfect, but it is closer. Here's the back of it. And it does not list any special features. This is by Echo Bridge. It's rated R from 1994. And with the 10 box collection, obviously Howling 3 was like PG-13. The other 2 were rated R, I remember correctly. I don't think it says on here that they're rated. What they're rated. No. But I believe Rebirth and Freaks are both R. So they have a fair amount of violence in them. So this one is directed by John Hogue, and he directed a pretty cool 1980s horror film called The Incubus, which I liked quite a bit. It's not very well known, but it's worth checking out if you can find it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's got a good twist ending to it. And this is, excuse me, my eye kind of, there we go. Probably getting infected by the werewolf virus. Now this is the screenplay on this is by Clive Turner, who See, these don't really give me. Let me quickly go back. Take a look at something here. There it is. Okay. Looking for Clive. Because Clive Turner, so nothing on Howling III, bought the series rights, and these don't have credits on them. So I believe he bought, after part 3, Clive Turner bought the Howling rights and then continued with Howling V Rebirth, Howling VI The Freaks, and then of course he did the Howling New Moon Rising. But he became the main producer of the Howling series after that. So, okay, this is a long one. So let's go here. At least they got some okay pictures. So, but this doesn't look right. That I know is in the movie. I don't know about that one. That looks, no, I think that's a Nightmare. So I think that's in there. Yeah, maybe that is too. I'm almost thinking that some of these pictures are from part 3, but I don't think they are. Maybe not after looking at them. Yeah, I'm just probably getting it confused because I know she has birth in part 3. So yeah, I think this is just a Nightmare. Don't listen to me. What do I know? So let's see. In the sleep-stilled dead of night, when the moon is high, a bone-chilling howl pierces the subdued night air, and one woman's tranquil dreams are exchanged for terrifying nightmares. Mary, played by Romy Windsor, a successful novelist, has been plagued by horrific visions for quite some time. On the brink of a nervous breakdown, and at the direction of her daughter, Marie and her husband plan a restful getaway to the picturesque wooded town of Drago. But the heart of the scenic, serene village is much darker than its benign presence. And while Marie hopes her vacation will dispel her visions, in truth, a dark presence has drawn her there. Soon she will discover the ghosts that have haunted her are real, and that her visions are a mysterious message. Marie knows that something sinister is going down in the town of Drago. But what she doesn't know is that it has razor-sharp claws, throat-ripping teeth, an insatiable lust for blood, and it kills by the cold light of the full moon. ... Howling IV, the original Nightmare. So you could tell from this description that Marie is obviously Karen. Yeah, Karen. So Karen's a news reporter, while Marie is an author, a successful author, and she experiences the werewolf thing. And then her doctor, just like in the first film, tells her to go to this getaway where she could just relax and hang out, and all this, will just go past her. And when she gets there, of course, that's when she discovers all the werewolves and everything. So this is, it is trying to be a remake and not really a sequel. But it's, they tried. So I'm not going to tell you what I think of it until we get to the ratings. So that's Howling IV, the original Nightmare. Now we have, one of the most notorious of the Howling films. A film so notorious that I don't think it ever came out on anything other than VHS. Maybe it came out on Laserdisc, I'm not sure. But it definitely didn't come out on DVD, and it definitely didn't come out on Blu-ray, unless maybe it's a bootleg. But that would be The Howling New Moon Rising. And this is the only way I could find it, was on VHS. I am actually surprised at its quality for being such an old VHS. I mean, that box looks really good. And even the tape inside looks good. So I don't think there's no. Yeah, it just looks good. So the ad line for this is, somewhere out there, a new terror is breeding. Here's the side. Got the other side, same thing. And we got the back. And I just showed you the VHS tape, but I'll do it one more time since we're showing it off. New Line Cinema. Let's see. Now, since this is VHS, obviously there's no special features. It does run 90 minutes. It is New Line Cinema. It's rated R, but it's also done through Turner Home Video, which I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe is Clive Turner. For this, now it does say, based on the book series, Howling 1, 2, and 3, it is written, produced, and directed by Clive Turner. And it is, one of the associate producers is Guy Moon, who used to do music for Charles Band, I believe, for Empire Pictures. And then supervising editor is Clive Turner. This one came out in 1995. And it does say this film has been modified from its original version. It has been reformatted to fit your TV. Such bullshit when they used to do that back in the day. It was called matting. They would basically take a movie that looked like this and cut the sides off so it would look like this. And then they would take the camera and pan it back and forth during the transfer during important scenes so you wouldn't miss something important. So this film is even worse than what most people think it is, because it's actually cutting picture off. I'm not sure about some of the others because they don't say. I'm going to guess, because this is Echo Bridge, and it's widescreen, or at least it's formatted correctly. But like I said, this one is pretty notorious. So let's, here's from the producers of The Lawnmower Man. That should tell you something right there. Pardon me, it actually made me cough. Let's see. Pioneer Town is a quiet little town in the California desert until a stranger, Clive Turner, what does he have now? Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if we count acting, and then 6 if he owns like Turner Home Entertainment or as part of just like the Turner family. I think that's Ted Turner, to be honest. So I think it's Ted Turner Home Entertainment, but Clive Turner, maybe not. If somebody can let me know down in the credits, that'd be awesome, or in the comments, that'd be awesome. All right, so here we go. Pioneer Town is a quiet little town in the California desert until a stranger, Clive Turner, with a secret rides in on a motorcycle. Soon after he arrives, a series of gruesome and mysterious slayings occur in the dark desert night. Could he be the cause? ? Meanwhile, police in nearby Barstow. I just went through Barstow. I go through Barstow every time I go to California. Maybe it's the same place. Are on the trail of a violent killer. A killer who could only be one thing: a werewolf. When they consult an expert on werewolves, they learn a horrifying reality. Once the moon is full, the creature will strike, making new werewolves of its chosen victims. The stranger's hidden past makes him a prime suspect. But is he the werewolf? They kind of already asked that up there, but they just didn't say werewolf. They just said, is he the cause? From the people who brought you Nightmare on Elm Street series and Jason Goes to Hell, ooh, I mean, those are two series I don't think want to be compared to The Howling, comes the newest installment to one of the biggest horror franchises in history. I wouldn't say history, but I would say it's a huge franchise, you know, since they have like, what, 8 movies. So that's pretty good. The Howling New Moon Rising is a tale of suspenseful terror you won't soon forget. So, yeah, that's this one. And a lot of people know of it, and a lot of people really hate it. So we got one left. So let's take a look at that. And that is The Howling Reborn. Once again, doing the scratches, which is okay. That's kind of The Howling's thing. It's kind of its calling card. So, you know it's The Howling. Full Moon, New Blood. And let's see here. A new breed of terror. Nothing will be the same. Special features, audio commentary with the writer and director and one of the actors, the making of The Howling Reborn, and storyboard gallery. It's, let's see, 92 minutes, rated R at least. And this, I would assume, Howling is also, yeah, also rated R. It is widescreen, which is nice. 92 minutes isn't bad. It looks like Anchor Bay possibly produced it, and then they released it on their own label. I don't really recognize anybody here. But it is actually based on the book Howling II by Gary Brandener. So they're not even basing this on the original book. They're basing it on part 2. So I guess they preferred that one. So maybe you could watch the original Howling and then watch this, and you'd get Howling 2 out of it. Let's see. In this chilling reboot of the 80s horror classic, Landon, I'm going to try to pronounce these last names. Landon Lib Oron of Terra Nova stars as a high school senior, Will Kidman, whose infatuation with a beautiful classmate, Lindsay Shaw, of Pretty Little Liars and 10 Things I Hate About You. Oh, I'm sorry. Pretty Little Liars and 10 Things I Hate About You, begins to trigger certain teenage animal aspects. Certain animal instincts. But when a mysterious woman, Ivana, this has got to be like Russian, Mel Icevik of Casino Royale, with a shocking secret, re-enters his life, Will learns that he is heir to a powerful line of werewolves. Now he finds he has a choice to make, succumbing to his primeval nature or turning against his own. In order to fight the destiny of his legacy and fight the girl of his dreams and save the girl of his dreams, he must battle not only his growing bloodlust, but an army of fearsome beasts hell-bent on killing us all. Tonight, the full moon rises. The horror begins anew. This is The Howling Reborn. And I'm not sure if I showed the back, but there's the back. And oh, that's a nice boring. That's nice and boring. Does the job, but it's still boring. So that's the latest one. They haven't done any more. Let's see if they give a date on this. 2011 is the only date that I see. So 2011 was the last Howling movie. Wow, they keep making Amityville films left and right, but they just stopped on this one for the Howling. I think if you knocked off the and just called it Howling, you could call it any, you could say, Howling, Sun Rising, Howling, Werewolf Massacre, Howling. I mean, you could do just that, kind of like what they do with, Amityville. You could just keep making unofficial Howling movies and just call it Howling. I mean, nobody just owns Howling. It's a word. Might even be able to get away with the Howling. Because I'm not really seeing any copyright stuff on the title. So this could be, the Howling. What would you say? The Howling Suffrage, the Howling Insurrection, the I don't know, maybe. But okay, so sorry, it's very dry out here today. I know I mentioned that a lot on videos, but it is, and I don't want to seem like I'm being rude. Also, I do apologize for mispronouncing anything or whatever. As I've told you before, I am dyslexic, so it's a little difficult from time to time to kind of get through these. One of the good things about me reading these is that it actually helps me too. So thank you for sitting through all that. But now here we are. So we are going to start with from the worst and go to the best. So there's 8 of them. So we're going to start with number 8. And ironically, it just happens to be the film that I just reviewed, Howling Reborn. I think this is the worst of all the Howling movies. It's Twilight. This film came out when Twilight was huge, and that's all it is. There might even be vampires. No, I think it's 2 warring werewolf clans, if I remember correctly. And it just ends up being Romeo and Juliet. It ends up being Twilight. It's almost too professionally shot for being a Howling movie after the last few. I don't know. I just did not like it. Maybe I need to give it a second chance. I only watched it once and chose never to watch it again, since I am a big fan of this series or franchise. But yeah, I just didn't like it. I did not like that. I don't like the Twilight movies, even though I did see them all, just so I could say that I didn't like them, because I knew I wouldn't. But I guess they have a couple decent things in them. But yeah, I don't know. I thought this was the worst. If you guys liked it, let me know down in the comments if you liked it, and why you liked it. But I just did not like the story. Howling Reborn is not where I wanted to go. I didn't want to go Twilight. So that's my that's the one that I think is the worst. Now, here's another little bit of irony. This is what I think to be the second worst, Howling New Moon Rising. There's a reason why it's never been released past VHS, maybe Laserdisc. It's pretty insufferable. The directing is really bad. The editing is really bad. The story that I've heard behind this is Clive Turner was in a town and he really liked all the people that lived there. And so he wanted to do a documentary on the town. So a lot of the actors are actually from the town. So if it's a bartender, the guy is the bartender in the town. If it's somebody who works, in a garage, it's actually a mechanic that really works in the town. So a lot of these people are really bad actors. And it's just a jumbled mess. And it's boring. There's a bar in this where there is a local band that plays. It just goes on forever. And I think they play a couple times, if I remember correctly. It's just really tough to get through. And it seems like a cheat. I mean, it's one of these things where if he wanted to make a documentary about the town, that's fine. If he wanted to do home movies, that's fine. But he just chose to throw in a werewolf and make a movie out of it. Now, I will say the one thing that I do like about this, excuse me, is it does try to link up to other films. The one that I definitely remember it linking up to is Howling V. So, and I think it actually links up to another one too. And I do like. He's trying to basically close certain stories that were never finished in the other movies. So I do believe it's the like the original actors back that are in this. So as far as continuity goes, you almost need to watch this to kind of end the Howling series. That I did like. I like that he did that. That is something I would do. If somebody told me to write a sequel, I would try to put all the pieces that were in all the other movies into my film. That's just the way I think that films should be done. You don't ignore the other movies, you acknowledge them in one way or another, and Clive Turner did. So I give him some respect for that, but otherwise, yeah, it's just not a good movie. So I would probably watch it again just to remind myself of those links to the other movies, but the next one, which could be surprising for some people, is so Howling Reborn was 8, Howling New Moon Rising was 7. This is number 6. So my 6th least favorite is Howling 3, which you might have been able to guess. I do not like that it's a comedy. I don't think the idea is that bad. I like that it's shot in Australia. So it's got great scenery and everything. I just don't like that it's a comedy. I just don't. The dark humor isn't even done well. I just don't like this being a comedy. Well made. The special effects are fine. I like the poster, and like I said, the lettering the font is good. I just don't like it as a comedy, so I'd prefer not to watch it. It just bugs the crap out of me. So with that being said, but I'm still glad that I got it for all the special features that are on the back. That I don't think that I would want to own this any other way. So I'm glad about that. Then, so number 5 would then be Howling, the New Nightmare. And this is really only because I don't know why they tried to redo the book, especially if they weren't going to continue it. There is a great melting scene in this movie where basically a guy like turns into a skeleton and just melts down, and it's just a big pile of like goo and messed up like bones and stuff. It's the best scene in the film. It's probably the scene that took the most effort and probably most of their budget. But it's yeah, I just don't. I know it's okay. It's kind of dull in some areas, but it's worth watching. But it's just not that great. Directing is okay because I like the director, but directing is okay. Then number 4 is Howling the Freaks. So Freaks. Freaks. This one takes place in a, like I read back here, in a carnival. And it's got one of the better budgets. It's got the werewolf that meets, the vampire. It's got all those kind of weird people that you would see at a carnival, or the freak show, whatever they want to call it. And the freaks, hence the freaks. And it's good. It's one of the one of the better ones. It's definitely one of the better ones, and it's definitely worth watching in this series. The effects are pretty good, the costumes are pretty good, and the story is not the worst. So but I just think that there's 3 others that are better, but Freaks is pretty good. So I'm going to put this back over here. Then comes Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. So that is number 3. So I think that is, I don't know, now that we're down kind of past the top, now that we're into the top 3, I'm not really sure if I could call this the worst, or maybe the 3rd best out of the series. But it's still one of the worst. But Howling 2 is a classic. It has gotten such a cult fan base now, and it's just one of those films that sits up there where if there's a list of bad movies and you see stuff like Plan 9, which I don't think is the worst, Robot Monster, The Giant Claw, those type of things, this is normally put in there, you know, Battlefield Earth, things like that. You could normally find Howling 2. One of the best things about Howling 2 is its soundtrack, which, let me see if they give, they do not give who does the soundtrack, and I'm forgetting it off the top of my head. Okay, so I'm back. So I don't know what it is. It could be my internet, it could be Zoom, could be my laptop. I don't know, but it just knocks me right off, and I got to wait for everything to kind of reset and then come back. But while it was doing that, while the internet was doing all of its stuff and Zoom was doing all of its stuff, I looked up who did the music, because I was blanking, for Howling 2. And that is Stephen Parson. And he was in a band called Babel. And the song that they did for the film, which is like the biggest song for the movie, was called The Howling. Howling 2 was meant to be kind of like The Hunger, but with werewolves. And the beginning of Howling 2 has the song The Hunger, the Howling, being performed live by Babel. And kind of like the beginning of The Hunger, where Bauhaus is performing Bela Lugosi's Dead. So I will give, you know, Howling 2, you know, props for Babel doing the soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack. I have like a couple versions of it, and I really like it. Also, of course, it's got Christopher Lee, so you can't go wrong with that. The directing in it isn't horrible. The story is not the best. It is way out there and doesn't really make any sense. Sybil Danning, of course, is good, and she overacts in it, which is perfect. And it does have the notorious ending credits with her ripping her shirt off endlessly, which I read, and I don't know if this is true or not, but that she, at a screening, like the first screening, she ran out of the theater crying because she was so embarrassed and humiliated by it. But it is one of those just really bizarre, weird movies that should not exist, but it does. And so that's why it gets a number 3 on my list. So it's in my top 3 for, I think, the best Howling movies. Freaks could maybe move it. Howling 6 Freaks and Howling 2 might be able to be moved, you know, kind of up and down maybe a little bit, but because Freaks is a well-directed film, it's a well-made film, and but I just really love Howling 2. But now, with that being said, that then means that number 2, put this back over here, number 2 would be Howling V Rebirth. And Rebirth. I really liked this Howling film because it reminds me of another werewolf film, and that stars Christopher Lee, stars Peter Cushing. I'm sorry, Peter Cushing, the great Peter Cushing. And it's basically, oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on the title of that right now. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the title. That is awful. I just had it in my head. But there, you guys, as I'm sure, will remind me, but it's a werewolf film that takes place on an island. One by one, people are being killed off, and each one of them thinks that the other person is the werewolf until that person gets killed. Then it must be somebody else. And at some point in the film, they do stop the movie, and they give you, I think it's something like 60 seconds for you to decide who the werewolf is. And I cannot believe I'm forgetting this title. But it's one of my favorite werewolf films that I'm drawing a complete blank. But Howling 5 reminds me of that, and you can even tell from the just the description on the back that it was probably a ripoff of that movie. And I'm going to feel so stupid when I look it up. I go, of course. But those of you out there know which one I'm talking about. God, I cannot believe I'm blanking on this title, and I don't want to. You know what? I'm going to right now. I'm going to look up, because it is bugging me so much. Let's see if I can find it by this. Peter Cushing werewolf film. And there it is. The Beast Must Die, 1974. I am an absolute idiot when it comes to this. I can't believe I forgot that title. But when I saw this film as a kid, which was most likely in the 80s, I just loved it. And I loved that it was almost like a detective film, but with a werewolf. And Howling V Rebirth does the same thing. I like that it's more or less one location. It takes place in a castle. And it really is kind of a whodunit. It doesn't have a lot of werewolf kills, and I don't even think you see the werewolf that much. But I really enjoyed it. I liked its atmosphere. I thought that it was done pretty well. So, for me, that one makes, my number 2 spot. And of course, the original Howling. Look, this one here. The original Howling is number 1. How can it not be number 1? It is, like I've said before, one of the greatest werewolf films ever made. It's has some of the best special effects when it comes to werewolf films. It just has a classic cast, which for a lot of people these days, they may not realize that. When you have people like, Dee Wallace, she's on Facebook and she's still in stuff. Like, she does a lot of Rob Zombie films, and she seems to be pretty open for people communicating with her. Patrick McGee is awesome. He was on the original TV show The Avengers. You got Dennis Duggan, Christopher Stone, who at one time was married to Dee Wallace. You have Brenda Blasky, yeah, it's very small. She's really good. She's the one who gets killed by Eddie. Had a crush on her when I was younger, when I first saw this film. Kevin McCarthy, of course, classic from the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And then you have Sir, I will knight him myself, John Carradine. I don't even have to explain John Carradine. I just don't. Just John Carradine. That's all I have to say. And Slim Pickens, which is great. Dr. Strangelove and many other movies. It is one of those, Elizabeth Brooks, it says, and introducing Elizabeth Brooks. I think she's the bad werewolf, and she's, very attractive in this movie, very seductive. And of course, the screenplay is by, John Sayles. He's one of the writers. Terrence H. Winkless, who also worked for Roger Corman, was the other co-writer. And music, I said, which was great, is I'm going to say the name, Pino Don Gio. I know that's wrong. I'm sorry. But he's done a ton of scores, Brian De Palma scores, and a lot of these people that worked on the original Howling came from the school of Roger Corman, which John Sayles, just Joe Dante, all these guys I don't think that they wouldn't be doing today what they were doing without Roger Corman, which to me Corman is the greatest filmmaker out there. As much as I love Spielberg and Cameron and all of them, nobody can beat Roger Corman for what he has done for the film industry. And he has discovered more talent and that has gone on to achieve so many awards and make so many great movies. Joe Dante, of course, you would know from, Piranha, the original Piranha movie. And John Sayles went on to write, Alligator, and he became a director himself during The Return of the Secaucus 7, Limbo. He did, just so many. He also did Lone Star. I mean, just so many movies. All of his films are good. So just the talent alone in The Howling is worth watching. And of course, Robert Picardo, who I said played Eddie. He was the doctor on Star Trek Voyager, and I believe he's been in every Joe Dante film. And Eddie is just a scary guy, and Robert Picardo plays him so well. So The Howling is my #1 favorite. I would like for them to make more of these or do something, but who knows? Maybe they're just stuck in copyright hell. But that's pretty much it. So thanks for hanging out with me. I do have right up here a couple of VHS and a DVD collection of what one of my upcoming videos will be. And so that's a little bit of an Easter egg up there. I guess if I point it out, it's not an Easter egg, but that's something that I'm going to be working on soon. But for right now, the Howling franchise, aka series. So that's it. So thank you very much, and see if any of these are on Tubi or YouTube, and check them out. Maybe Netflix, especially the original. If you just want just a great horror movie for October, for Halloween. If you want a great laugh and like get drunk and hang out with your friends and have a really good time, check out Howling 2. You can never go wrong with Howling 2. So I guess that's it. And I will talk to everybody soon. Thank you for watching this video, and I will talk with you later. Bye. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out after the video, and thank you for watching the very first Dark Park Films sponsored video. And who is that sponsor? Well, I've now learned if I do this with my hands, they go to the right area. There we go. That would be Wildlife Command Center Coffee, and you can purchase it right there. You can go to their website, which is BUYWCC.com, and pick up their coffee. They have 2 blends, which I'm going to show you now. The first coffee is this one right here. This is a breakfast blend. It's 10 ounces, and it is a medium ground. And it does say, and it's breakfast, like I said, and this is what it says right here. It says, early bird can catch the worm. So there you go, a breakfast blend coffee that helps you catch the worm in the morning. And I really like this one. I'm more of a breakfast kind of blend coffee guy in the morning. So this one I really like. It has that little bit of oomph to it to kind of get you moving, get you up and out. And so I really enjoy this one, but that doesn't mean that I don't like the other one, which is this one right here. This is a dark roast. It is also 10 ounces, and both of these are $7.99 at their website. Pretty good price for 10 ounces worth of ground coffee. This one is, it's a little darker, so it's, I think it's better for drinking at night. Maybe if you're writing a screenplay, or if you're filming, this has got that oomph, that double punch to get you going. So this is one that I also recommend. I like both of these quite a bit, but I kind of do, the breakfast in the morning and then the dark more at night. So I recommend both of these quite a bit. And how did I find out about these two, these 2 coffees here? And how did I find out about Wildlife Command Center? Well, when I was working on Night of the Zomghouls, there was a box of coffee that was just sitting there, filled with coffee. And we didn't know what to do with it. Like, whose is this? Who brought it? Why is it here? And so we just kept going to the store and buying coffee. And then one day I said, why don't we just get the coffee out of the box and use that instead of, wasting money on going to Smith's or whatever and picking up coffee. So we did. We did not realize that it was the Wildlife Command Center coffee, and that it was sponsoring the movie. And it was great coffee. Everybody loved it. And we just went right through it. By the last day of filming, this coffee was gone. And I went and found out, about Wildlife Command Center, asked if they would like to be a sponsor for Dark Park Films, for their coffee. As many of you know, I love coffee. I love coffee mugs. And so this was a perfect match. And Wildlife Command Center is great with animals. So they provide a great service for rescuing animals. So it's kind of that double whammy for me, where coffee, helping animals, you can't go wrong. And they were even cool enough to send me, get in there, a coffee mug, because they knew that I liked coffee mugs. And right now, I don't get that. A little bit. I'm going to go on the keyboard, but that's their dark blend, because I'm recording this at night. So I am actually drinking that while recording. Also, one thing that you can get at their website, which is cool, is you can get this. There you go. This pocket knife, which is $9.49. And this is pretty cool because it has their name on it. Wildlife Command Center, we can catch it. And this is what it looks like. Put that down there. There we go. Fully out. So you're getting like the bottle opener, you got the corkscrew, you got a screwdriver, you got a blade, and then you got this little hook thing that you can pop it into something that doesn't have a tab, and then the liquid or whatever in there will come out. So this is pretty cool. And I'm just going to keep mine in my car, because you never know, you might need a pocket knife. So please support them. I'm going to have links down below, where you can, check out just the Wildlife Command Center. I'll also have a link for Wildlife Command Center coffee, and it will basically be for both these guys right here. And please support them. I support them. I think what they do is pretty awesome. And maybe this coffee will be on your set or in your kitchen. It will definitely be, on my set in my kitchen. I know that. So please, once again, I'm going to show you these. Please go to their website and pick up their coffee and make it part of your day or night, depending on which one you like. So that'll be about it. I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. And yeah, so thank you. And once again, please support my channel. Please support the Wildlife Command Center, and I will catch you later. Bye.